I still remember one day when I was sitting in a bar with a friend. We were sitting, talking, and laughing until I saw a girl. The moment I saw her, it felt like I'd seen an angel. My eyes widened and my heart started beating fast. I thought to myself, I have to go and talk to her. The moment I said this to myself, my mind started racing. I wonder if she's with someone. I have no idea what to say to her. Maybe she doesn't want to be bothered. I shouldn't say anything. It wouldn't be welcome. I wish I knew something cool and confident to say right now. And about a million other thoughts that didn't help me at all. But the main thing I kept thinking was that I'd regret it all night if I didn't go over and say hello to her. Then I paused and thought to myself, what's the worst that could happen? So I got up, walked over to her and said exactly what was on my mind. Hey, how's it going? I felt like I'd regret it all night if I didn't come over and say hi. Immediately, two things happened. First, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders because I wasn't putting a ton of pressure on myself to seem cool or to say the perfect thing. I was just letting my natural thoughts flow out and it felt right. Second, she absolutely liked me. We started flirting back and forth. She got us free drinks from the bartender and everything was going perfectly. And all of this happened because I stopped trying to act with fake confidence and dropped my shield. I let her see me as I am. Since that night, this has been the only way I approach women. I don't try to act cool or force anything to happen. I just say what's on my mind. I firmly believe that anything else is just a crutch or a shield to hide behind. And here, I'll pause to tell you a story. A long time ago, I read a study that discussed the psychology behind the way a person laughs, meaning it explored how each person has a unique laugh and how it evolves over time. Anyway, to keep it brief and avoid making the video too long, there are two types of laughter, loud laughter and quiet laughter. If we go back hundreds of thousands of years, when humans lived in tribes, you'd find that the tribal leader or the strong men laughed loudly and with a lot of power. They had no problem laughing with intensity and weren't afraid of anything, whereas a weaker person didn't laugh loudly because they didn't want to draw attention to themselves, and so on. The theory is long, and there's no need to go into its details since it's not our main topic. But in short, a strong man laughs loudly, while a weaker man laughs quietly. In our current time, most people laugh softly due to school and society, where loud laughter is somewhat considered impolite. So now, almost everyone laughs quietly. But that's not what intrigued me the most. Rather, it's something else. That your way of laughing isn't something you were born with. It's something you develop over time, like body language or your accent. It's something in your subconscious. And if you want to change it, you can. Meaning, you could start today by trying to laugh more powerfully, like this. And with time, this will become your laugh, and you'll do it naturally. I'll go off topic a bit here, and I know this advice might sound silly or weird, but trust me, if you can change your laugh and make it a powerful one, like a Viking leader, you won't believe how much your social life and interactions with women will change. Laughter is one of the most important things in human connection, and is among the top things that attract women to men, and men to women. As a man, if you see a woman with an attractive, sweet laugh, you'll feel drawn to her. Likewise, if a woman sees that you have a strong, confident laugh, she'll instinctively feel attracted to you, even a sexual attraction. It's simple and something you can start doing from today. But this isn't our main topic, and at the same time, I know most of you won't try it because it seems odd, but since I'm a nerd and a weirdo, the day I read about this, I started applying it and tried to change my own laugh. I still remember meeting with my friends. We started talking, and when I laughed, I would laugh loudly and in a strange way. When they asked me why, I explained the study I'd read and the insights I'd learned about how a strong man is the one who laughs powerfully. At that moment, one of my friends looked me straight in the eye and said, "No, you're wrong. If you want to have presence and be strong, you shouldn't laugh much. You should be serious most of the time so people will respect you." When I heard him say those words, I felt angry. Not because I'd spent an entire night reading a 150-page PDF on this subject, only for him to come along and tell me I was wrong. But I was angry because of the world we live in now, because of the movies and shows where people see the gang leader never laughing, so it seems to them that they, too, shouldn't laugh and should be serious. Without going into too much detail, think of someone you know who is always serious and ask yourself, would you want to be around them? The answer is often no, and if you think about it for a moment, you'll realize that they probably don't have friends and no one talks to them. And this applies not only to their relationships with women, but with everyone. This excessive seriousness and lack of laughter is like a virus in your social life. And since we're talking about women here, you have to be spontaneous with them. You shouldn't overthink or worry about anything. Just be natural and say whatever comes to mind. Being spontaneous and not taking things too seriously is the most important quality you should have if you want to attract women and live happily. If you try to recall any time you managed to capture the attention of a girl or group of girls, you will likely find that it was because you acted naturally and didn't try to look cool. So let's get back to the topic of the video. Every time you find yourself trying too hard to appear cool or confident, remember me and ignore that overthinking. Girls like a man who is at ease with himself, who doesn't take life too seriously, who enjoys the moment and laughs. Remember, women are always reading you and deciding how they should feel about you. When you're not being completely honest and genuine about your intentions, they sense it. It shows on your face, your body language, and in the subtle ways you react in the moment. You need to create an interesting, attractive conversation that makes her feel comfortable and open with you. This is the essence of the authentic approach. Look, since I started this series on how to attract a woman, there's been one question that comes up more than anything else. What do I say when I approach a girl? I'd always give examples of openers and lines you could use, and I'd see many people in the comments asking for more examples and lines, and a lot of them liked those phrases. But the truth is, they never actually solved the real problem. The real problem was that they felt nervous, thought they needed to hide that from women. They believed they needed to say a lot of stuff to make up for their feeling of inadequacy toward the girls they were talking to. And if you rely solely on that, years from now, you'll still face the same issue and won't be able to speak comfortably with women. For me, I've tried hundreds of pickup lines, but the one I currently use and find the most effective is to walk up to her and say, "Hey, you're cute. I wanted to get to know you. I am the Dark Needle." I introduce myself and tell her why I came over to talk. This is the authentic approach. I never try to hide my intentions or pretend I'm not attracted to her. In fact, I want her to know I'm attracted to her. Why should I be ashamed of that? Why would I want to hide it? Why would I put up any barrier or obstacle to getting what I want? Now let's pause here, because if you've been following me in this series on how to attract women, you'll have noticed that I always tell you, don't offer free validation to girls, don't compliment her, and don't show her that you want her. In this video, I'll explain this concept in detail, and you'll understand clearly how to show interest in a girl you like. Let me introduce you to a technique called shameless interest. Interest without any shame. In fact, when I start talking to a girl I'm attracted to, one of the first questions I ask is, are you single? There's a clear intention behind this question, right? I'm asking because I'm interested in her and I'm upfront about it. I'm not trying to hide it. I also enjoy finding new ways to let girls know I'm attracted to them. Stop being so cute. You made me forget what I was gonna say. What an incredibly adorable person you are. I can already tell that I'm gonna like you. Should we just skip everything and get married already? If you're trying to make me like you, it seems to be working. By the way, you can use this technique whether it's the first time you're meeting her and starting a conversation, or if it's a second date. But if you meet by chance, or if she's a classmate or co-worker, you can start with casual conversation and wait until you're on a date to apply this approach. The biggest reason guys get lost in gray areas is their fear of showing direct, genuine interest in a girl. This straightforward interest clears up all the gray areas and makes things completely clear, black or white. It's incredibly simple, honest, and authentic, and it doesn't require any sort of game or excessive cleverness, but it does take courage. Girls are attracted to courage, remember that. At the same time, however, you shouldn't show her that you're entirely sold on her. So how do you do that? As I explained in this series, if a girl is even a little bit attractive, she usually has a kind of high ego, meaning that when you speak to her, she assumes by default that you're interested in her. If you try to hide your attraction, she'll either see you as weak and unable to be natural, or she'll put you in the friend zone. So there's no problem with showing you're interested, but you shouldn't show her that you want her. Listen carefully. This is a legendary rule to always remember. There's no issue with showing her she attracts you. The key is not to show her that you desire her completely, meaning you can say something like, "I like your hair," which is casual. At the same time, if there's something you don't like, you can tell her that as well. And by the way, some people might misunderstand me here and think I'm telling you to compliment her, but no, there's a big difference between showing shameless interest and giving compliments. For example, you could say, "I like your hair," which is shameless interest. But if you say, "Your hair is beautiful," that's a compliment and it's something she hears all the time. If you do this, you'll convey two things. First, you'll stay in the friend zone, as compliments are often for friends. Second, you'll seem weak because you weren't able to express your interest honestly. And this is the difference between a friend and a lover. A lover says, "I'm interested in you," while a friend says, "You're beautiful." This is something I want you to remember throughout your life. When talking to a girl, don't compliment her outright. If there's something nice about her, tell her that it interests you. At the same time, let her know what doesn't appeal to you. You have nice hair, but I tend to prefer blondes. Anyway, I went over this explanation in detail in previous videos. One last thing I'll explain before we continue is that when you talk to girls, the actual words you say don't have much value on their own. Attraction for a woman is linked to the feeling that your words generate. So when you approach her and say, "I like you and I want to talk to you," this communicates that you're confident and not overly concerned with what she might think of you. Attraction is 80 to 90% nonverbal. nonverbal. This means that what you actually say when you first approach a girl isn't really important. What matters is how you say it. You could introduce yourself directly, talk about the weather, tell a joke, or use any clever line taught by dating coaches these days. Personally, I prefer to keep things simple and straightforward so I don't overthink it and stay relaxed, because the true points of attraction aren't in verbal communication but in nonverbal, or what we call subcommunication. This includes your tone of voice, body language, the way you look at her, the way you're breathing, and so on. Subcommunication speaks directly to the subconscious, which is where emotional and sexual desire come from. And do you remember what I mentioned in one of the videos in this series? How women are naturally attracted to men they believe other women want, men who have multiple options. Well, there are some key differences in the behavior and subcommunication of these men compared to those who don't have options. Here's one major difference. Men with options assume that women are attracted to them. They're used to many women being interested, so when they meet a new woman, they assume she's attracted to them too. And even if she's not, it doesn't bother them. They don't get flustered, nor do they take it personally or make a big deal out of it. Compare this to men who don't have many options. They typically assume that women aren't attracted to them because that's been their experience in life so far. If by chance they find a girl who shows even a hint of interest, they cling to her, feeling like they won't find anyone else. Deep down, they don't believe they deserve the women they desire, so they try extra hard to compensate for that. But have you ever noticed that the harder you try to make a girl like you, the less she actually does? That's because guys who try too hard are subtly communicating that they don't have many options, and women aren't drawn to men who lack options. I know I keep repeating this concept, but that's only because it's so important. Women want men with options, and men with options assume attraction. If you were to assume attraction, you'd look her in the eyes, introduce yourself, and tell her why you came over. Hey, you're attractive. What's your name? And if you're feeling good and have something attractive or awesome to say, by all means, go ahead and say it, but only if you genuinely feel it, because that will come across in your subcommunication. If you're not feeling it, if you're nervous or uncertain, don't overthink it. Just introduce yourself and tell her why you came over. Make it your mission to find out who she is and if she's interesting and worth your time to talk to. Anything beyond that is over effort, which actually works against you. What you say the first time isn't important and won't be remembered. What will be remembered is how you showed up and how you made her feel. By the way, do you remember the story I told you at the beginning? That's not what actually happened. The person who went and talked to that girl wasn't me. It was my friend who was with me. As for my story, it ended while I was still thinking about what to say, and that night ended without the girl and without my friend. I deeply regretted missing that opportunity, but I learned a lot from that experience. And if my mistake can help someone else learn and benefit from it, then I think I'm glad I made it. So please, don't be like me, brother.